morning and welcome to Unlocking Freedom in Nature and Art. So happy that you're here today, and thanks again for taking the time to be with us. Good
We're
morning, Lori. How are you?
hello, Tammy, and greetings to everybody around the world, even when it's not morning, and especially the ones that are watching the recorded version of this. We want to say hello to you. We're always happy to be here with amazing guests, and we have Lani Almanza today from Hawaii.
Good morning. Aloha.
Yes,
Good
Lani
morning.
is a
Aloha, right?
aloha. She's the founder of Alakai's Associates. Did I say that right?
Close. Alakai.
Alakai. Yes, and she also wrote a beautiful book. And she's a returning guest. She has a beautiful story, and we want to hear more from her.
So, Lonnie, can you give us a little bit more about your story, just so people know who you are and a little bit about you before we start talking about our main topic?
Okay. So born and raised in Hawaii. I am a mother of four, grandmother of six. And my personal and professional career experience has been around creating healthier communities. And so when I retired in 2020, I started Alakai Associates
Mhm.
to help bring that message to the world. And one of my favorite quotes is, "Helping one person might not change the world, but it could change the world for that one person."
Totally.
That's awesome. So I know Lonnie has shared some incredible photos with me and is always posting encouraging quotes. And one of her little stories, messages she wrote was about hands.
Yes.
And I absolutely loved that. So I'm going to is talking about our hands, how essential they are, what a role they play in our lives.
Yes. So I think, we all maybe take our hands for granted a little bit. They're just, they're there, they work for us. And in this world that's increasingly connected to technology, um, the physical experience of actually working with your hands and not just holding a device can be overlooked. That there's so much power in that connection of working with your hands, that's associated with benefits like reducing depression and anxiety symptoms, and just increasing our life satisfaction.
Is it with pressure points? Like, how is it working with your hands, literally meaning like doing things with your hands other than scroll?
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, like, is it also, pressure points in your
That
hands or
that is
There
what
is
that
pressure points.
is. Yes. So that is one way to use your hands for relaxation. And I have a real simple self hand massage that I can teach people. But this one really was more on connecting with our brain and the benefits of doing things like gardening or woodworking or crafts or even writing. And so for me, that was like, well, I'm a writer. That makes sense to me. But actually handwriting. So while I can do a lot of, writing on my laptop, the part of writing that I enjoy or that connects with me the most is when I'm actually journaling and writing, physically. That really connects your brain and heart, stimulating those pathways.
I
Well,
totally get it. I have a whole chapter about the importance of writing with your hand in my book and the benefits, yes.
Yeah,
Fine motor skills and then also
yeah.
soul brain connection and being able to express yourself. Sorry, Tammy.
Oh, I was going to say, this is what Lonnie wrote in one of the paragraphs. One of the primary benefits of working with your hands is the way it helps stimulate different parts of the brain. For example, gardening is more than just planting flowers. It requires planning, organization, and problem solving. Challenges that stimulate nerve growth in the brain, helping to keep your brain sharp and engaged. So I just love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you said you're a writer, you wrote that book and I mentioned it earlier. It's called Under a Full Moon and a Guiding Star. Do you
Mhm.
want to tell the audience what inspired you to write the book?
Oh, that book was inspired primarily by my son's cancer journey. Um, and sort of the seed was planted more than 20 years ago um, through that journey. But even before that, as I realized as I was writing the book, that the seed was planted many, many years before that, that I've always loved books and storytelling and writing. Um, and so the the journey with my son through his cancer was really what brought all that together for me, and the lessons that I learned about self-care. So that was really what I wanted to bring out in that book. And now I can say in my first book because I'm working on my second book.
Wonderful.
Um, yeah. So that journey was really looking back at how my life had gone from a doing, busy, busy, busy doing life to being more conscious and aware and to a being existence. So, really paying attention to things around me like nature. And found that nature was one of the things that also I connected to. And I credit partly that to having the benefits of living and growing up in Hawaii, being surrounded by big nature all the time.
You
Um, es-
definitely are. It's
yeah,
beautiful.
especially the ocean. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of how the first book came to be. And now that I'm working on the second one, just going deeper and farther. It's called Beyond the Horizon. So how could I go beyond what I learned up until that point and through the first book?
So
Which
what
plays a role, right, into your using your brain, stimulating. Because like Lori and I both have written books, and we know that it takes, it's like, yeah, you might jot down notes, you might have your, usually, of course, they tell you to write down things that you want to write about or your chapter titles and come out with it. But there's a lot to writing a book that people don't even realize. But just even journaling,
Yeah.
because I know Lori can talk more about this because she's our big journaler,
Yeah. Me.
more than me, better. But there's when you're just writing down those thoughts, sometimes it makes you're sitting and thinking. Am I correct?
Yeah. My journals were actually a lot of sort of the beginning impetus or pieces to what I wrote about in the first book and continue to be. Um, you know, and I love talking and teaching about journaling. I actually do a journaling workshop because so many people are intimidated by journaling and they think that they're going to be writing, 3 pages or 6 pages or, how do you get started and that there's a specific way to do journaling. And it's like, no, you just write. And sometimes it's 3 lines on a page and sometimes it's 3 pages. But I think helping people connect in that way, using their hands to actually write in a journal, um, has so many benefits. And so beyond, stimulating those brain pathways, it actually can improve your memory. Like it said, reduce stress. So when you get to a certain age, uh, that improving your memory starts to be a really important thing. Um, so, working with your hands, um, it boosts memory retention. Um, and more than just typing, if you create those long form shapes, it's demonstrating certain motor control over your fingers.
Yes, I totally agree. And I'm going to quote Jeremy Noble from the Harvard Medical School. He says that when people tell their personal stories through writing, whether in letters to friends or family, or in journals for themselves, they discover a means of organizing and understanding their own thoughts and experiences, of demystifying and reducing their fears and sharing their feelings with others. Many people I've spoken to people like, no, I am scarred about writing in a journal because somebody discovered it and read it, and I felt like violated, my privacy. I totally get that disappointment, that trauma in a way. But even when you write and then burn it, shred it, throw it away, it just does something to your spirit and your soul and your mind
Mm-hmm.
on releasing those feelings, organizing, categorizing, and understanding yourself better. It,
Mm-hmm.
it, it offers the ability to operate in the past, present, and future all in the same. When putting pen to paper, your brain is actively making sense of the recalled past, choosing and shaping words at the moment of creating. And this is all from my book too. And I love that you're as passionate about journaling, Lani, because I mean, and I know, and I totally get it that you say there's not a specific way, etc. And especially when somebody has no experience, doing
Mm-hmm.
something with three sentences, like you say, is better than
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
But there's so many other ways, like the artist way, that book.
Yeah.
I learned the morning pages.
Yep.
The morning
That's
pages have an intention and a purpose that have healed me so much.
yeah.
And then my personal journal is it has a different intention, and the a gratitude journal has so there's so much and so many different ways and prompts even
Yeah.
available that could help you get
Mm.
started. So if you're listening to this, I think our invitation is to start writing a journal
Well,
in
and
a journal.
yeah, and here's a little tip. This is something that we used to do for youth group, and I've done it for kids that are dealing with problems or adults, is even if you have just a sticky notepad or pieces of paper, write down one thing that was a blessing today. One good thing,
Mm-hmm.
and you put it in a jar. So then on those bad days or days that you're going through something difficult, you pull that out and you look at it and it
Yeah.
reminds you of your blessings. As the same way that if you're having, we've also had where write down the things that you're going through that are so hard and you write those down and then you throw them in the fire.
Yeah.
It's like you release them. So there's like so many different little ways that we can do stuff.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, Tammy.
And I think for me, like I said earlier, one of the connections for writing is in nature. And so, first thing in the morning is when I go outside to get my fresh air and sunshine and my, you know, bit of nature and do my journaling that's the foundation of my day. And I remember one time we were on a vacation and staying with some family, but the environment in that house, it was a really hot summer in Texas, and Lori probably knows those. Uh, and so we had to stay indoors a lot, and it just, the tension started to build. And after the third day, I had to excuse myself and go take a break in my room. And I realized part of it was that I hadn't had the opportunity to do my morning practice. I hadn't been able to get outside in fresh air and sunshine. I hadn't been able to do my journaling the way that I usually do. And I just realized how much that had become such a foundation to how the rest of my day went. So I'd love, like you said, Lori, to encourage people to try a practice of journaling, whatever it might be. And like you, I have different kinds of journals for different things. I had one journal a couple of years ago, which was a manifestation for a family trip to Maui for me and my husband's 50th anniversary. And so I would put, pictures in there of turtles and whales. And I found an old email of the place, the communication of the place where we wanted to stay, and old pictures that we wanted to recreate from a trip we'd done before. And for a year prior to that um, trip, that's what I put those things together. And so when it finally came to fruition, it was such a nice manifestation of all of that. So there's like, there's different ways that you can a gratitude journal, of course. People, well, I don't know, how to start, or if you had a crappy day, you don't know, is there anything positive about this day? I tell people just start with the alphabet. And it sounds silly and ridiculous, but once you get going with it, it kind of leads you to a deeper thought. So, ABC, apples, bananas, cherries. Well, that sounds ridiculous. So, well, what
I
is it about
think
apples?
things you're grateful for with the
Yeah, I
ABCs.
mean,
Oh, I
you
love
just,
that.
yeah. So, and for me, it was like, okay, well, what about apples? What is it about apples that I'm grateful for? Well, I
Mm.
particularly like green apples because it reminds me of making apple crisp with my mom when I was little. Bananas. There's a specific kind of banana that grows in Hawaii. It's called apple banana that
Oh,
is
they're
Yes.
so,
so
so yummy.
sweet.
In Puerto Rico
Uh,
too. We have
yeah,
access to
yeah.
it.
So,
Yeah.
and then cherries, it's like, well, you know, cherries. Well, I have a cherry tree in my backyard that is
Mhm.
Acerola or Suriname cherry.
Acerola, yes.
Yeah, it's very tart. But my other favorite cherry comes from the Northwest, which is the Rainier cherry from Washington.
I have some of
So it's
those in
just,
my refrigerator.
Mhm. That's
so
awesome.
once you start just writing down, one word for each letter of the alphabet, your brain is going to start to connect with that. And there's a reason why you put that word. So, that's just one way of starting a journaling practice. Um, so
I
yeah,
agree. I
And
agree.
here's a couple of things that I guess when I take photos is kind of like journaling
yeah,
because if I go on my walks in the morning, I'll take pictures and I try to share them because then that way they're on Facebook and they come up on memories, right? Or I can of course
yeah.
look on my phone. And the other way is sketching.
Hmm.
Sometimes you just want to sketch something that you see that's beautiful. And I know I've seen Corinne. She does some beautiful sketches she has on some of her travels lately, and I love seeing that. There's like you said, there's so many
Yeah.
different ways.
And that's,
I have a prayer journal too where I submit
hmm,
prayers for each of my children and family
yeah.
members or special prayers that I have.
Yeah, and the sketching is, definitely connecting that handwriting activity. And I'm always hesitant because there's a lot, well, I should say there's like three really good artists in our family, and it's one of them is not me. And so it's like, okay, well, I want to sketch that tree out there, but it's not going to look like so and so's tree. No, it's going to look like my tree, what I see. So I've gotten kind of past that. And so every now and then, I'll sketch something that I see, a tree or flower or, but I do have an activity that I wanted to share with you guys about connecting with your hand.
Okay, just a second before
Yep.
you share that. As an artist, I want to say it doesn't matter if you're perfect or not, because I scribble and doodle all the time. Yes, I do trees, but I've done trees since I was little, so it's like I can picture that. But there's times I get blocky, it's like, oh, I can't draw a thing. Or it's like I don't draw people all the time, so it takes me longer. So even playing Pictionary, I'm not the best at it because, it's like my art pieces take a long time because I'm not one of those that just goes and does it really fast, even though I can as long as
Mhm.
I can visualize it. But I just want you to be courageous, scribble, doodle, have
Mhm.
fun with it. It does not have to be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely have fun with it. So the activity I wanted to share with you was I asked people to get out a blank piece of paper and trace the fingers of one hand on the page. And then on the thumb, you're going to write the word breathe. On the index finger, you're going to draw or write the words sun and moon. Yep.
Yep, here's a hand. Okay, so
So
breathe on the thumb.
breathe on the thumb, sun or moon. You can either write it or draw it on the first index finger. The names of three people closest to you on the middle finger. The four seasons on the ring finger. And the five senses on the little finger.
What was on the? Okay, so we got the
So,
names.
so after sun and moon, three names of people closest to you on the middle finger, 4 seasons on the ring finger, and 5 senses on the baby finger. And then in the palm of the hand, which one of those is most important to you and why?
Which of these things?
Yes.
Okay.
Which of
Okay, I didn't get the pinky yet. What's on the pinky?
The seasons of the year.
5
Oh,
senses?
5 senses. Sorry.
Yeah.
5 senses.
Oh,
So
okay.
thumb is breathe, index finger is sun and moon, middle finger is 3 people closest to you, ring finger is the 4 seasons, little finger is the 5 senses. So you kind of remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then in the palm, which one of those fingers things is most important to you and why? And then the next part of that would be to trace your hand, your other hand, and write a note to a friend and tell them why their connection is important to you and send it to them. And I'll send you a copy of this exercise.
Like a template.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that you can
All right.
share it.
Here's what I have so far, just so people can see. If that
Here's
showed up.
mine. Oh,
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 yours.
would look better
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Awesome, Lori.
And
And
so
then,
so
okay.
then you're going to trace another hand and write a message to a friend in the palm about why their connection is important to you and send it to them. And then the last, if we're doing this as a meditative activity, I would ask people to put their 2 hands together and focus on what you wrote and think about how you're using your 2 hands to support your own well-being. And lastly, put your hands over your heart and take 3 deep breaths. So thank you for letting me share that with you.
Oh, no, not a problem. I know but it's one of those hards because it's like if I don't breathe, I'm not going to be able to go to those senses. The logical part,
Beautiful.
right?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. What's been
It
some
is.
results people get when you have office?
It's something new that I've come up with. I just did it for the first time yesterday with a group of women in a nonprofit that I work with, and they said they actually added the palm part for me. I had just had the fingers, and they said, "What about the palm?" And I said, "Good idea, good idea." And then the other comment was the closing of putting their hands over their heart and taking 3 deep breaths.
It's just taking time for these exercises help explore more about your what's inside, what's within, the light inside of us, and
Yeah.
it probably even helps us rethink our priorities.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we spending more time? And like you said, there's so much that we can do with our hands.
Yeah.
Nowadays, people are just restricting themselves or limiting themselves to scrolling. Doom scrolling is what's called.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like when you take your hands off the devices and you're creating stuff,
Mm-hmm.
crafting, whether like my sister does these beautiful quilts
Yeah.
or, whether you're creating, making some kind of, thinking of kites for kids or drawings, or little kids even playing with Play-Doh.
Yeah.
There's just like so many different things that a lot of times aren't available anymore, which is so, so sad because I
Yeah.
grew up always creating, whether it was even made mud pies all the
Yeah.
time, or
For me, it was, building sandcastles. I remember
yeah.
my dad teaching me his special method of dripping the wet sand so that it would make little towers. And that's the other thing, that working with your hands in gardening. And I hesitate to say gardening because people kind of they have specific ideas of what that looks like. But for me, it's just getting my hands in the dirt some way, whether it's repotting or planting. Um, but it's just that grounding activity. So again, that working with your hands in that way and connecting with the earth is also very beneficial and healing.
Lori and I were talking about that just before you came on today, Lani. I was telling her, I'm like, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed right lately because I'm trying to do so many things. Because it's not, this time of year is not my just normal take care of the house, the cooking, and all of that. But I'm gardening as well. And then my gardens are not small. I have huge gardens. And it's like I'm trimming tomato plants and you're trimming your zucchini because there's fertilizing, there's watering, and all of your hanging baskets. And then I have to do certain things to prevent the deer from eating our plants, and stuff. It's just little tricks, but it all adds up to time.
Mhm.
And then I made homemade bread. I made ciabatta rolls
Ooh.
yesterday, so it's me. I add on stuff all the time for myself. Not saying I don't enjoy it, but sometimes I'm like looking back and I'm like, oh my gosh, how much am I adding on? Sometimes I have to take a breath and like, okay, you can only do this, this, and this because this time of year is also my time of the year to go hiking because I love to spend time in nature. And at the same time, I have clients or somebody that wants me to work on art pieces. So I'm trying to do that as well. So, but I try to do it all in a way. I mean, I am pretty blessed. I do the things that I want to do and enjoy to do, but I never want them to become a burden to where I don't like them. Does
Mhm.
that make, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, if we're so focused on that, you get to where you almost hate it. A couple years, and it dawned on me. It's been like 10 years ago. I was so busy working on clients' projects, and I didn't even go to the lake for like a month. But this was summertime, and Lori, that would how that would drive me insane.
Yes.
Not being able to go outside and go to the water and
Yeah.
stuff. And I was like, finally, and at dawn, I was like, oh my gosh, the summer flew by and I had not gone to the lake. So what I realized is with every piece I do, I add on 2 or 3 extra weeks so that
Yeah.
I don't have to rush stuff.
Yeah.
I spread things out a little bit more. I try to do things in my mind, try to do things to where it saves me time so that I can do other things.
Yeah. That was one of my self-care big self-care lessons was um, learning to schedule my self-care time. And I call it white space. And it started really from doing a visualization or collage and a vision board kind of thing with some people at work. And normally you would see people doing theirs in very much a collage where pictures are overlapping and touching. And this particular time, I was intentionally leaving, it was on a white paper, and I was intentionally leaving space between the pictures. Like there was the section for family, and there was a section for work, and there was a section for at the time I was doing hula and connecting with nature. And at the end, when we shared, they asked, why do you have so much white space? And it dawned on me that that's what I needed in my life. I needed to make sure I had white space between all the things I was doing. And that was sort of the beginning of the transition from the doing to being mindset for me, is making sure I put the white space in intentionally. So at work, I would intentionally have at least 30 minutes between any scheduled meetings. If somebody wanted to do a back to back, I was like, I can't do that. Um, I really wanted to have that space for my mind sort of to catch up. Like if it had been a really busy meeting, I wanted my mind to have a chance to catch up with all that information, process it, take a breath, and then move on, with clarity to the next thing I wanted to do. Because I think, especially like we said in the beginning with technology, we just keep rolling from one thing to the next, and we forget to come up for air. So, yeah,
So
having that having that space in between all the doing things that we do, and even the things that we do with our hands, creating that space for self-care is so important.
Absolutely. And especially like Tammy said, she enjoys art, but even when it's like a job or for commission and things like that, it
Mm-hmm.
can turn into a little bit of a stressor and burden. And
Mm-hmm.
I love her idea of like taking some time, extending a little bit of time for her to understand that, because she's gotten to a point where she understands to take some time, some breaks in between. And you
Mm-hmm.
too, I love how you like call it white space. Is that
Mm-hmm.
what it is?
Yep.
White space. It's
Yeah.
for it's consider yourself space, like self-care, sorry, space,
Yes.
self-care. That's wonderful. And I have a question. You were born in Hawaii, correct?
Yes.
How have you been able to, as a professional, you worked 15 years for the American Cancer
Mm-hmm.
Association
The American Cancer
and
Society.
yeah, society. So how do you harness, or because sometimes we are where we are planted, right? And then we take
Mm-hmm.
some things for granted. How have you been very cognizant or conscientious about the nature you are surrounded by for you to be able to implement this self-care and to enjoy nature because you're surrounded by it in Hawaii?
Yeah, I think it hasn't been that conscious effort my whole life. It's been much more so in the last probably, well, for sure 5 years since I retired, but even before that, developing this connection um, to nature through actually my son who passed away from cancer. When he was four, not four, when he was in fourth grade and when he was 10, he connected with a group of ocean educators from Maui that asked to mentor him because he was the artist for sure. He could draw a humpback whale almost to scale just from
Mhm.
looking at a picture.
Wow.
Um, and with all the details, and so they asked him mentor him, and so that really started to develop my keen sense of connecting to the environment. And then when I was writing my book, looking back on having the privilege of growing up here and how nature had influenced who I became. So again, being able to go to the beach and learn to swim in the ocean and have respect for the ocean. That happened when I was little with my dad. And so I just never really thought about it that much. It was just something you always did. That was something the culture here sort of encouraged, that respect for nature, the respect for the ocean, the respect for the land. And so yeah, it's just been part of how I've grown and developed over my lifetime, but much more conscientious in the last few years, knowing how much it serves my self-care, my wellness, my well-being. And that's what I also try to help people do is get outside, get outside the boxes that they're in, whether it's your house or your job or just your mindset, and connecting with nature to kind of open the doors and, you know, first take a breath and then discover what's out there for you.
And has it made a difference then from before and then since you've been what kind
Since
of
I've been more attentive to
yes,
it, yes,
yes,
yes. Like I said earlier, is excuse me, um, that it's really foundational to my day.
yeah.
Like, even if it's, if I open the curtains in the morning and it's overcast and raining, I still need to step outside and breathe in that
Mm.
fresh air.
Yes.
I need to go walk on my grass barefoot. Um, whether it's, sunny morning or rainy morning, I need to get grounded. So connecting with nature is foundational for me.
What's funny is it's like when I go to Hawaii, I'm like, oh, when can we go snorkeling? When can we go, kayaking? When can we do this and that? And it's amazing when I'll talk to somebody and they're like, they didn't even, they might have walked down to the beach and maybe put their feet in, but a lot of times they didn't even do that. And I'm just like, you went to Hawaii and didn't do any of this? I'm looking at them like, are you
Yeah,
crazy?
you're on this
But
little this little rock in the middle of the largest body of water on the planet, and you didn't even go in it.
Yeah.
But it amazes me how many times people, even where, like you said, where they live in the beautiful areas, will sit glued to their TVs or their screens of playing games or whatever, and not take the time to go
Mhm.
outside and explore their own areas.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times they might even live in a beautiful area and have never taken the time to go outside, or they're so concentrated on getting those steps in they don't enjoy the sounds. Or I see people walking, even on the same trails I do, with their things in their
Earpods. Yeah.
earpods in. Thank you. And they don't hear all the sounds because when you listen for the sounds, you hear
Mhm.
those eagles,
Yeah.
you hear the ducks, you hear, you know, all the birds, the chipmunks, the squirrels, and then you know you can prepare to see for like when they're flying right there or landing in their nest or different things. You just see so much more. And it's kind of like when you're journaling or when you're creating a piece of art, turn the TV off. Listen to the sounds of
Yeah.
nature or listen to music because
Mhm.
there's no way to just, if I hear the news or something else going in the background, it's too hard for me to relax.
Yeah.
If that makes
It's
sense.
yeah, even if you're not actually hearing the words, there is a tension that comes across that impacts our brain. Um, and it's really I don't know all the science behind it, but the tension from the voices from the newscasters, that creates a reaction in your body. So you don't even have to really hear the words. It's just the tension that you hear in their voices. Yeah. One of the things when you're talking about, when you're out walking, um, and not necessarily in a hike you know, in a forest, but just walking around your neighborhood, um, not having your earpods in. And I'm guilty of that because sometimes I want my music to just like I'm intentionally walking.
Well,
And other times
take
I'm
one
walking.
earpod out.
Yeah. But what I did do to myself, with myself one time was challenge myself to look for as many different colors around the neighborhood. And like, a blue mailbox, a pink flower, a yellow car, whatever it was. Um, just so I was paying attention to my surroundings and not my head down, just walking. Um,
I love that because we want to encourage our audience and the people watching to do it however it is. People say don't bring your phone, don't stop to take pictures, and that goes against Tammy's religion. Don't do, but it doesn't matter. It's with ear pods, it's with a camera and stopping every moment to take pictures because you want to take that memory with it doesn't matter. We have our standards, we have a way to do it, but what we want you to enjoy, like Lani's saying, and Tammy, I'm sure, is just do it. Do it with the
yeah,
earbuds. That's better than not doing it. Do it
yeah,
with
Right. Well, and
your camera on or whatever it is. But what we want in our this is our message. Like Lani, she's probably I like to walk when it's by myself, listening to something, a podcast, whatever, and we hope you get out and listen to us. But as long as you're making that a point and it's more intentional,
yeah,
like Lani said, it's such an easy exercise. Okay, let me see how many blue jays I want to see today. Let's see how many little bunnies I can count. Let's see what colors I can see and explore, discover, experience, and that I promise you is going to help you with your transformation, discipline, paying more attention to details out in nature, creating a great habit of self-care. I mean, we want you to do it your way, as long
yeah,
as
well, and
you
I'm
get
throwing this
yourself
out.
out
The reason
there.
why on the ear pods, if you're on a trail,
yeah,
take one out and only use one.
To listen
And
to
the
your
reason is if in
surroundings.
case a bear or moose or
Mhm.
something's
yeah.
coming up, you can hear them.
Yeah,
Or just
yeah.
people behind you that,
Or a
Mhm.
person.
passing.
Cyclist,
Yeah,
somebody if it's in the city like me. But I just want you guys to, and I love it because I'm sure this is our common message or intention today. And time goes by so fast when we're having fun. Lani, you've been such a great guest again,
Thank you.
a returning guest. We just want you, this is our purpose, unlocking freedom. What type of freedom it is? It's just freedom of your soul, freedom of the four walls, freedom of the habits you have already created that may not be of your best interest or helpful for you. And in nature, why? Because from maybe thinking being out in nature is disgusting or there's too many bugs or whatever, you can transition that or shift those paradigms that are negative to look. Lani even said that even if when it's raining, and Olivia would love this, right? And you, Julie, that is usually with us and goes out every morning to see the sunrise at the beach. That is her goal. And you know how spiritual Yuli is and how much insight she gets from that practice? We want you to do the same. Like Tammy says, you know, if she doesn't go to the lake, you know, Tammy comes back for the lake, she's smiling, she's in a great mood. And I'm like, no, Tammy, I can tell you went to the lake. And me too. Like when I go on long walks here in the middle of the concrete jungle, is still beautiful and amazing because some buildings have and homes have beautiful landscape that I stop and watch and admire and learn from those landscapes to try to implement here in my own place. Or just nature. The city has done a great job with putting nature trails in the middle of the city, and I love those little oases, you know, green oasis is what I call them. So that's what we want you to do. And Lani, I will have one question. What gives you the most hope right now in the work that you do? Because you've told us what you did and you retired, you wrote the book, you're writing a new one. But what is it that you do right now? How is your practice, or how is your clients, you know, base and your programs that you offer right now?
So when I retired, I had put my Alakai Associates business into place and thought I was going to be doing retreats, and COVID, you know, shifted all of that for me. So what I have focused on, and kind of through the book writing as well, is sort of four main self-care practices. So starting with discovery journals. So I do journal workshops, which is my favorite thing to do. And I've done them for teenagers all the way to senior citizens. Um, so journal workshops, and then specifically a workshop on simple steps to self-care, another one on stress management, and sometimes those two are combined. And see, what was the fourth one? Now I'm lost track. But anyway, and then through that, also helping people who I do, I'm on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn with daily posts about wellness, just your wellness journey, your self-care, trying to help people find that for themselves and set their intentions. And then also, if they want to come for one-on-one guidance, I don't call it counseling or coaching. It's just guidance. I'm here to guide you on your wellness journey. And I have some wellness products that I also promote depending on people's individual needs for that. And then my biggest passion right now is writing my second book. And that's really helping me focus and narrow in on who and how I serve.
And based on the results you've observed, anecdotal, you know, results, what's the hope you bring for your clients? What's their biggest takeaway?
I think it's to have, I loved what one of my readers said was the impact to realize that they have the capacity to do it for themselves. So, you know, that's my hope, is that I have that impact. And that also this particular one shared that after reading the book, in particular, that she wanted to make sure that her daughters read it. And so she has a teenage daughter and a young adult daughter. And I thought, if I can have that generational impact, leave that kind of legacy, then my hope has been fulfilled.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, Lani.
Of course.
We loved having you, and who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to leave that legacy behind, and for so many people to say, hey, you got to read this, you got to read this. That is so wonderful. Thank you
Well,
so much.
I have one more thing to invite you, Lori, and Tammy, to maybe plan a trip to Hawaii for February of 2026 when my second
Ooh.
book will launch.
Oh, I love that invitation. Thank you
Yeah.
so
I
much.
love that. No, Hawaii is one of my favorite places. I always told my husband that would be the second place I would move to, because I have friends that live over there, and I've been on three different of the islands.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, you can never go wrong with any of the islands. They're so gorgeous. But
Where are
Lori,
you? Are you at the main island, Oahu, or what?
I'm on Oahu, which is the, where the capital Honolulu is. But right now, the Big Island of Hawaii, the largest of the islands, has a very active volcano. Madame Pele has been busy. I think she's on the next eruption. So it's been a series of eruptions over the last couple months. The next one will be episode 30.
yeah, a friend of mine, and I shared a post earlier. I'll have to share it again with one of the latest ones. But she used to work for the Forest Service kind of over there,
Mm-hmm.
and so she goes and takes pictures of the volcano almost daily, sharing it because they have a new baby and stuff. But so it's amazing seeing all of those photos all the time. But
Yeah.
Lori, one thing I have noticed, and I'm sure, and I don't know if all of our guests watching have noticed this, every one of our leaders, our amazing guest speakers that have came on here, do self-care in the morning
Yeah.
before they start their day, whether it's with the 1 minute prayer, whether it's a hike, it's a meditation, journaling. Every single one of them have taken that time. So if you're not doing it, this is to all of our
You're
guests
missing
out there,
out. You're missing
you're
out.
missing something. So
Yeah,
you need to look into it.
absolutely.
And I'm here to help guide you on that journey.
Yes, yes, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Thank you.
Sharing is caring. So share this with someone that you think would benefit from this. And I love my neighbor Debbie. She says, Lori, I usually listen like 2 days after for whatever reason. We just love the fact that you're here tuning in, watching it live or the recorded broadcast, and share with us in the comments your biggest takeaway, or ask our guests questions. Ask Annie some question, Lani some questions there, and Lani will reply. And that's our commitment to you. Okay.
Right.
Thank
And
you.
then also, if you have any tips or ideas that you would like to see or hear in the broadcast or us posting, please let us know. Also, I want to encourage you to check out our adventures and retreats because Lori and I are here to take you through these things, to guide you, to share our experiences. And it's amazing what you're going to learn.
And more
So,
than a trip, right? A little getaway. It's a intentional personal development and loving and appreciating nature trip. So it's like all in one. And we want you to go through those experiences. I have done those experiences in the UK, Costa Rica, beautiful destinations. I have offered it to people in Puerto Rico, and it's transformative. More than just being a tourist, is being a tourist and also doing self-care and growing personally. So, wow, it's just a big package deal.
well, it's the little
I have
things
put one
that
of
you
your
learn.
retreats. I have put one of your retreats on my vision board.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
So we have a North Idaho one coming up here in a few weeks. And then we also have St. Lucia and is it Barbados that
Yes,
we have coming
Barbados.
up. So make sure you schedule. We have payment plans for those as well. And because it's what you're going to bring back, what you're going to take away from each one of these experiences that,
I tell my whole household, I come back a better person. So let me go.
we do. It's like Lori said, when she comes back from a walk, I can tell. It's like I can tell, just like she says, she can tell when I come back from doing something, taking that extra time.
Yes.
So it's amazing. Thank you so much, Lani, for being here.
I love
You're
sharing
always an
with you
amazing
guys.
guest. Always love having you be a part of this.
Anytime.
And we can't wait to hear your comments on your experiences of your new habits.
So be sure you try out Lani's little hand suggestion. She had lots of golden nuggets. Be sure to check out her website as well. Thanks again for being here. We appreciate each one of you. Hope you have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Aloha.
Aloha.